Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the Phil and Matt Show. Here we are with you live on the 7th November. Crikey, we're a week in already. Seven. So yes, here we are again. Another fantastic week. The sun is shining here. The birds are singing. No, it's not that nice, but it's sunny. I've still got a chest infection, so at some point, if I do disappear off kilter, I'm just dying, basically.
He's coughing a lung up.
So if anyone's got a replacement lung, I think I could do with a pair. But anyway, trust you're all doing very well. You had a good weekend, got lots done. I did a little bit more work onto the Viking, which I'll show you in a moment, which was very good as well. There's a few bits have been happening. We've got a couple of kits that have come in as well, so we get some reviews up for you this week. We've at least got something to talk about on tomorrow's PM show as well. So that's all good. This afternoon I'm going to do a little bit of painting with you. So I will be carrying on painting where we left off with the actual Helldiver. So I'm going to do the top half stuff and all the bits and pieces, and we'll freehand it. Purely because it's got that nice worn look to it and things like that. Then we'll do a little bit of mottling, I think, with this particular one as well. So we'll show you about obviously just changing the paint up, mottling a little bit and things like that. And then just because I thought I'd do little things differently than I normally do, I thought we'd have a go at a bit of chipping work with some pencils. And various bits and pieces with this one, which we'll probably do on the next show. I don't think we'll have time for it today, but some other things. But I was having a look around at various bits and pieces, and I was thinking, do you know what? I've never really done pencil chipping and stuff like that. So I thought, I've got them. Well, I haven't got the proper ones. I've got the Faber-Castell ones as well as the proper ones. But I thought we'd give it a whirl with that one as well. So on something like this, they always get a bit worn and chippy and all the rest of it. So instead of using my usual techniques, I thought we'd try something a bit different. So we could all fail at it together, repaint it, and then go back to the normal way I do it. So, yeah. Anyway, how you doing, Matt? How was your weekend?
Mine, very good actually. Busy, but yeah, good. Yes. Bit wet and miserable here on Saturday. But Sunday were lovely actually. No, Sunday were nice and dry and stuff. So got some bits and bobs done. So yeah.
Very nice. Good job.
Getting geared up for the weekend, aren't we? Really?
Yes. Obviously, you got Telford this weekend. I will say it because I have to say it every day because everyone forgets. We're not trading. We're not taking any stock. I'm not taking any washes and all the other stuff at all. It's literally we're just going to have a wander around it, aren't we?
We are. We're going to have a mooch round and have a chat with people and just generally try and enjoy a model show, which has been a while since we've actually done that. To be fair, in it.
Yeah.
We're normally working or something else. So yes, it will be nice. David's put looking forward to meeting you all at Telford on Saturday.
Yes, we'll be there Saturday.
We'll be there
Saturday. Before, I think what we're going to do, we're all meet in Hall 3, which is the little hall where the little canteen is and all the bits and pieces. I think around about 2 o'clock. So if we do a little bit of a meet and greet there. So if anybody wants to come over and see us, have a chinwag and a chat and all the rest of it, lovely to see you. And obviously we're near Nathan then, so we can bug him.
Yeah. Go and read the Luftwaffe Sig. Jim's put IPMS members getting in free at Telford. No, because you have to pay for your membership.
Yeah.
So it's not free, really, is it?
No.
But yeah.
Yes.
Get well soon, Phil. The world needs you on Saturday, does it?
I'll be there. Don't panic.
Are you bringing your cape?
Hey, look, not all heroes wear capes. I've told you this before.
It's going to be in spandex and a cape.
Wear your pants on the outside. Yes, definitely. I will come and see you, David. The plan of action is we're going to have, for the first time in my, Christ, how many years been going, would be to actually walk around the show and see it all. Because normally I see it when it's being set up and then when everyone's gone. And not a lot in between.
Early. It is. It's early in the morning. You have a quick scoot round, don't you? And then, literally, last time we did it, we just didn't get off the stand, did we? It was that busy. It was, perhaps Sunday afternoon when it quietens down a little bit before pack up, you can have a quick run round. But
normally that doesn't work because you try and go and see something, and then somebody catches you and starts talking, and you never make it.
No.
And people say, did you go and see such and such? I said, no. I've made it no more than 20 feet from the stand.
Yeah. That's normally it, isn't it? So you do realise you're only going to make it 20 feet through the door?
Yes.
Maximum.
Yes, that's it.
Like I said, we should have just not bought tickets and just sat in the foyer.
I was going to do that, sit there by the Costa thing and have a coffee and just sit there.
Yeah. Come and have a chat near the Costa, save ourselves some pennies.
Are we members of IPMS? No.
No. Yeah, we're not.
We'll leave that there. No, we're not members.
No, we're not.
So we pay.
Yes, we are going to be the paying public.
We are the paying public. So the way I look at this, because I'm paying now, I expect a certain standard.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't say I haven't paid, so, I can't complain.
To be fair, we was paying before.
Yeah, well, yes, we were. Yes, a lot. We was paying a lot more before. This is the cheap option.
Yeah, absolutely. Vulcan 607 is still deciding if he will attend.
Sorry, I thought you meant the real thing. I was going to say, that'd be a tight squeeze in hole 3.
They're going to drag that from Donny, are they? See if I can get it in the back of my car. Strap it to the roof. What could go wrong?
Yeah, that's it. It'd be fine. Might have to do a couple of lanes on the the M54 coming up. Be fine.
Yeah. Just driving that through Derby is going to be fun. Question: What is an IPMS membership cost? What is it? 28 quid or something? Is it? I don't know.
Do they have a handling fee for that as well?
I have no idea.
Do you know what I heard? Apparently, their laminating machine's not working, so unfortunately they can't do cards at the moment. I don't know if this is true. I was just told it, and it did make me chuckle. But apparently, they're not issuing out any new membership cards, so you will need to have your digital membership on your phone to prove when you go in. And I'm thinking, it couldn't get any worse, this, can it? You're going to have all these people of a certain age, hold on, it's here somewhere. Hold on, just give us a minute.
Is it free Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I was going to say, that'll be the other thing.
Need to bring the email.
Got no signal. That always used to be the thing at that event. When we used to, the card machine, wasn't it? You used to have to stand at a certain angle or take the customer with you off down an aisle to get a signal to be able to process the card payments because of there was not very good phone signals in that place.
Oh God, you used to have to run round outside, upstairs, and Jesus,
Yes.
yeah, I can remember. Yeah, don't miss that. Roy the Norwegian, Pedersen, are you attending the international lunch in the club area? We've not been invited, so no.
No.
Can't just gate crash things.
No.
Yeah, 28 quid. Yeah, there you go. Steve has put it up. Yeah, it's 28, isn't it? So, and that's for your yearly subscription. I think it's called. Is it?
And don't forget that gets you the yearly magazine, which, as we found out on the Friday show, this month contains plasticine. So it's the International Plasticine Modeller Society.
There you go. John's just put, yes, I lost mine and been sent an email as no cards left. So, better run on them. So, cool.
Well, this is it.
Anyway, what you been up to? Besides coughing your lungs up.
Right. So, as I say, I've been pushing on very hard. Again, you've got a little bit of noise in the background. I do apologise because it's a 13-hour print. I didn't realise it was going to be quite as long as this when I first put it in. Yeah.
It's doing a 1-to-1 Y-wing.
Yes, it feels like it, but I'm 3D printing off currently a very large, hopefully it's around about 1/32nd, 1/35th scale Y-wing I'm printing off at the moment. It's going to take a couple of days.
Hey, didn't you use the scale converter to actually get a scale?
I did use the scaly thing on it, and I just put it up by 200%. So, because I know 400% would be 1/18th scale, and that's what it's designed for. So I thought, well, look, if we go 200%, then it should be about right. But anyway, that's what I'm printing at the moment. And if it all goes well, and this does work out, obviously I'll show you it and all the rest of it. But I do intend to do the 1/18th scale, studio scale Y-wing as well. So I'm going to print that one off. So this is the sort of test bed. If this works out all right, I'm going to upscale it again to its real size, and we'll do it again. And this time I will video it and do the thing about 3D printing and all the rest of it, and you can see it. But as I say, I've worked it out. It's going to take 5 days to print it, and that's going full tilt. So yes, it's going to take a little bit of run on that one, but we'll see how this one goes first this week, and if it all goes well I'll show you next week, and then we'll upscale it again and we'll go for it in 1/18th, and that'll be a big mega project. We might even do lights in it and all the rest of it for that one. So but yes, so there's that one. Also, I've been pushing on very nicely with the said Viking, which as you can see is all done and is all deckled now and all the bits and pieces. So where's the tail? There we go. So we have the tail as well. So obviously it's going to be flipped over tail in the stowed configuration. We've got all the wings, so all those decals, you won't see any of them because it's all going to be flipped over as well. So we are literally all in. This had a satin coat earlier, so the satin coat technically is drying on this one, and then tomorrow I'll be pulling in with this one and we'll be getting on with getting a wash over it. So it'll be a dark dirt wash right the way over this one, and then we're just going to make our way through after that. So what I'm thinking is once it's got the main wash on, we're going to come through and do a little bit of oil work, get all those in. Then as things are drying, I'm going to come in then, we're going to super detail all these areas. So we've got to make some pylons, scratch build some pylons down in here for the torpedoes. We've got the gear area, so we're doing all the plumbing, the hydraulics, the wiring for that. Obviously down in for the main bays as well. And then down in here in the front with all of these ones, we'll be taking care of all of those as well. So plenty of stuff still to come on this one as it makes its way through. Once we've got it all done like that, I'll probably get it onto its gear just to get it off the floor. Because obviously at the moment I'm just, it's lying on the floor, it's not good for it. So we will get it onto its gear, we can check it all, make sure we're all good like that, and then once that's done we can do things like in the radome. We've obviously got a full radar to fit in here with all the bits and pieces as well, so we get all of that done, and then once those are done we can actually get the engines installed, then we can get the pylons in, so forth and so on, and start to work our way out the building, as they say. And everything, but no, it's coming along really, really nicely. So happy with that one. Say lights at the end of the tunnel now. Now I've got the right colours down and all the bits and pieces. Certainly looking the part, so we can really push on with it on this particular one. So that one's good. And then obviously just down in here, the only thing I did do slightly off camera was I had a small seam at the back here, which you can't see now because it's bright white on it. But we've done a bit of paint over that one and take care of it. Obviously it's going to have sort of camo over this and all the rest of it. But yeah, so technically this one's all set and ready now. So that's all good. So we'll get this one in the spray booth and we're going to get some of the dark gold grey. So for that particular one we're doing that. We will be using this, which is RC247, which is dark gold grey. So yes, that'll be good. And then obviously we will freehand all of this in as well. So we get those nice feathered edges to it, nothing too sharp or anything else like that. And then as I said earlier, what we're going to do is I'll do with it as well a little bit of post shading just on this as well. So we're just going to lighten up some of those panels and just cause a little bit of distress to the paintwork. And then very similar to how we've done the white work underneath here. And then once that's done, we'll let that dry off and then we can go through more weathering stages with it as well. So yeah, should be a lot of fun with this one to make our way through. And Matthew, what have you been up to? Ooh, look, the tree's in.
I've been doing my base, look. If the camera's going to come on.
Hold on.
The camera not? Hey, that's not working. Working.
You want to try it on and off again?
Yeah, hold on a minute.
It's Matthew. He's got the squeaky chair.
Yeah, apologies for the squeaky chair. I am going to look at it
one for Christmas.
WD-40. That's really odd. It was working, is it? Come on, stupid camera. It normally does it, when it's clashing with the other camera. Oi, is that better?
There we go. There you go.
There we go. Right, hold on. Pull it out a little bit. There we go. God, it's not very clear today. It looks really 8-bit. So yes,
right.
As you can see, I have painted my little figure. It's not stuck on, nothing's stuck on, so if you fall. So that's a 3D print that we found a file off on Cults 3D. So I've got a few bits to add. I've got some barrels that I've primed up and a couple of jerry cans. And I think I might do my little toolbox because it's supposed to be like a maintenance bloke, as you can see, not a train driver, as people are pointing out. But that's technically what you should be. But so yeah, we'll just zoom in a bit. There you go. So yes, that's what I've been up to. So it's nearly done, good. And then Nathan can look after it for the weekend. It will go on the stand. So
yes, you'll be able to see this live.
You will, yeah. God help you. And also, I have been doing. Put the camera back out again. I've resurrected my 222.
Oh right, okay.
And I've been repainting it.
Yes.
That's what I've been doing today. I just been filming repainting it because
I'm sure it was grey.
You what?
Last time I saw it, I thought it was grey.
Well, it's been grey. It's been red oxide, grey. Then there was the proper dark sand colour,
Right.
what it was for ages. And then I've used, this is the Tamiya dark colour, and then I've lightened it with deck tan.
Right.
Because it would have been too dark. It would have looked really odd. So I really, and I mean, I might even push it a bit more yet with lightening it. Lightening it up, if that makes a word. But yeah, I want some more contrast with it. So yes, that's what I've been doing.
Very
Such
nice.
good fun. I've been using my finger benga. I've
Nice.
actually got
Enjoying it?
I'm working properly.
Mm.
I don't know what it was. Like you say, the triggers are a bit. I wouldn't say. They just need wearing in, don't they?
It is. They need bedding in. They're very rough to start with, but when they get a bit polished.
Yes, and I did polish the needle. I just gave it a rub over with some fine sanding sponges, and that seemed to help as well. And actually, it's been. Do you know if you want to do the tight mottled work?
Yeah.
They're brilliant for that. Really, really good. They're not great, I will say this, with acrylics in them. I've been using the synthetic acrylics, if you want to call it that, and they've been fine because they've been really thin. But I think they're a bit, because acrylics can be a little bit thicker, they struggle. I think I'm on a 0.2. I think if you got a 0.3, you might get a better result. But actually, for how much it costs, it's worth getting one, isn't it, really?
Yes.
Go to the affiliates page, get yourself one if you haven't, because they are
for the money. I think it's one of those things. It should be double what it costs. It should be a 50 quid airbrush.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can pick it up for 25 quid. It's a bargain, you know.
Yeah, with 2 needle nozzle sets and an airline and all sorts you get. Don't you forget the package one. Yeah, it's a bit agricultural, but it does the job, to be honest. So that's my plan. So I've got to. Like I say, I might push this a little bit on the contrast side of it before I start the weathering. And I need to get my barrels painted up because they're just in a coat of primer. So I can get it. I think I'm going to put them in that corner. And so, like I say, I've got a toolboxy thing as well that I've got a file for to 3D print. Yeah. So I might whack that on the little printer and get that printed off. So like I say, I've got till Thursday basically to do it. So yeah. Been a bit productive actually. It's been all right. Can't complain.
Nice. Very good.
And I'm going to start a new build today.
Right.
I think it's my plan because I've been faffing about. Well, I did say to whoever was last week about weathering the chassis. So I'm going to do that. So we'll see how that goes today. And then that'll wrap this one up because, like I say, it's a bit clean under there in it, to be honest.
Yeah, it could do with a bit of something.
Basically, what I probably would have done is airbrushed a coat of dust on it, like buff or deck tan or something to dirty it up. But actually, I'm going to use your thick wash because I want to get a bit of built-up grime around there, and then I'll probably just dust the underneath with an airbrush after. You're never going to see it anyway. Just to tighten because obviously I've weathered this with your other normal wash. So colours will just match then. I was thinking of pigments, but it's like finding the right pigments that will tie in. So thick wash it will be.
Fair enough.
This. And we'll see if we can get that thing wrapped up. And then, like I say, I'm going to start a new build because it's been a while since I did anything really on our live shows. So yes, it's going to be a bit of a classic. Do you want me to show you what it's going to be?
Go on then. Yeah, we're all teasing us.
Going back to armour, it's going to be a bit of a Tamiya classic, which is this, and I'll tell you why. Because I can remember when I first started building armour kits back in the 90s. I think, and obviously Tamiya with the range to go to. This was one of my first armour kits, and I did have it for a long time. And I think it's been bin now a long time ago. But yes, and it's just been re-released by Tamiya. It's not been available for ages and ages, and they've just re-released it. And this is the new boxing. So, like I say, it shouldn't take much to put it together. But I'm going to do a bit of detailing on it. I think the one thing I might change is the tracks. Now I have got some aftermarket Panzer II tracks, right? But do I want to put them on this, or shall I save it for? Because I found a 3D set of tracks, and I might print them and try some 3D tracks, which I think would be a bit more exciting, if I'm honest.
Yes.
So, you know, for what it costs for the file. And then we've got boxes and a bit of stowage and whatever. So, yeah, that's going to be my next live build on our live shows when I've finished the land deck.
Nice.
So there we are.
Very nice.
I think we've had some questions, haven't we?
Yes, we have. So Jim's just asking there, saying about do you remove the nozzle cap for close-up detail work? I think he means on your airbrush.
I haven't today, to be honest, and explained, but sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. It depends on how it's spraying, if that makes sense.
Again, I think this is specific. If you do acrylics, you tend to get the build-up.
Yeah.
Even if you've got like a two-prong nozzle on the end, you get little balls build up, and then that'll affect your spray pattern because the air gets squeezed, and then you get flicking anyway. But again, you don't really get it with lacquers because lacquers being a little bit thinner and a bit hotter. I don't usually get any build up with the nozzle because I use lacquers now. I don't do it. But that said, when I did, I had a cop out. So normally my airbrushes were all like this with a twin prong. So it's a pinch clean. You can do it like that. But for detail work, I use this. So this is actually a depth guide for spraying lines and all the rest of it. But because it's this giant ring, and it literally is just a ring like that, it's great. So you get no build up around the outside, but you've still got a needle guard. Because obviously the trouble is, if you take off the entire end and you knock it, bash it, whatever, you know, that means you've got a bit of a problem then. So obviously protect your needle in some form or another is pretty much essential. So I must admit, that's what I used to use all the time for doing small detail work with acrylics. Purely because you get no build up then at all. And it's fine. Where obviously with this one, it's just got the prong ones, two prong ones on the end here. And the great thing with those is obviously you can just pinch clean it. So you just come along with a cloth and just pinch it to clean the actual pins off so you don't get any build up with it. But again, you know, if you got the normal types and it's got a, you know, this one's got a fine crown cap onto it, you can get a little bit of build up in there. This is the Fenger. And you know, then obviously that can affect your spray pattern. But the worst problem you can have from it, if you get build up and then it spits, you know, every now and again you get like a bit of paint flicks off, and it's worse, it just builds up and then flicks off. So sometimes with these you can just, like this one, you can, I said, if I can get it off separately, probably not, hold on, normally you can just take the end, can't get it off, but yeah, you can literally just take the end one off and leaving the needle exposed. So the nozzle's obviously on, but just the guard's off. But again, bit of personal choice on that. Yeah. I know lots of people who do take them off though, for doing detailed stuff.
Yeah, like I say, normally if I was camoing and stuff, tight camo, I'd definitely take the guard off for that. But I was just mainly mottling today when I was painting the 222, so it was all right. It was working fine for me. So did have something else. Is the Y-wing in one big part or multiples?
It's multiple part, yeah. It's not one because you wouldn't be able to do it in one, not unless you've got a massive printer. So put it this way, it's obviously, if you were doing a small one, if you wanted it in 72nd, you could almost print it in one, just on. But obviously for mine, it's doing it like at the moment, it's doing the cockpit, and the cockpit's about this wide by about this big. So it's going to be a bit of a lump like this one. So it's even in this scale, and in an 18th scale, I think it's almost 3 foot long. So it's a huge lump. So you do have to break it down, and also you've got the practicalities of printing. You know, so sometimes you break down the parts just to make them easier to fit in your print bed, but also to get the correct angles and various bits and pieces to get the best possible detail print out of it as well.
Yeah.
Mark says, just wondering, for a future live show, would it be possible for a heli weathering guide? I wish these got a little bit more attention. Hey, funny you say that, because I do them. I like my helis and I like weathering them.
I like helis as well, I have to say. I'm a bit of a fan of helis.
I've got quite a few helis I've done and do the weathering on them and all the rest of it, purely because I enjoy the weathering, if nothing else. So, because it's more like akin to weathering armour. So, yes. But this was a pre-war one. Leaky one. So the helix there, which I've done, but obviously we've done loads of other ones, as I say, in here. I've done various ones. The little bird, that was a good one. This, I think, is a free to watch still. If everyone wanted to watch this, you can watch this. This is a free to watch. Typical, I haven't got any bloody, it's like, I've got any pictures of it built up, there we go. But yeah, with the weathering and the bits and pieces. And there's a couple of other ones we've done. There's
the MI24, ain't you? That's
that's it.
we've
also got
there's one, the Cobra, ICM Cobra.
Yeah, we did the ICM Cobra.
Kitty
got
Hawk.
that down here.
Sea Hawk, is it you did?
Yeah, that's it.
There you go. There's a few up there, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah. And obviously my favourite, which is the Kitty Hawk, where's that? Where's the Kitty Hawk? There it is. Only because it's not much on the weathering front, but we did go to town on this thing, so we sort of threw kitchen sink at it, literally. So, but yeah, we did a bit of weathering onto it, a bit of griming, but technically it was quite clean. So, yeah.
I've done a heli, a white one, kind of.
Yes, well, it's almost a helicopter. I got a tail rotor, does it count?
More of a gyrocopter in it, is it? I don't know. I don't know what it counted at, to be fair, but yes. Yeah. It's got rotors, it must be nearly a helicopter.
Yes.
But yes,
that was a big old project on this one. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So if you want to go off, you can have a look at the photos right the way through, and there's a little video on it as well. But yes, Kitty Hawk's best ever kit before they left us.
It was, wasn't it?
It was.
It was indeed. Right.
They left.
Let's make some room.
Right, okay, I'm going to go in the spray bay.
You go in the spray bay.
I'll go in the spray bay.
And you can have you can have full screen kudos. Oh, I've lost
it. Full screen for the minute, and then I'll come back over to you when I finish up. There we go.
Set myself up. Fellow.
Okay, you get yourself set up. Right, guys, if you've got any questions, hold them out till the end, and then I'll answer them all then. Okay, so for this one, we're going to be using dark gold grey over the white. So we did the white before. If you didn't see it, watch last week's. So this one, FS36231, or it's RC247, all right? So this, to be honest, is the last of what I've got. So I've already put a bit of thinners in here, and we're just mixing it up of what we have got, all right? Because it is thinned out already. I've got almost a clean airbrush, and to say this isn't a clean airbrush, is that I didn't use it very long ago, and it'll be fine. Alright, so we just pop a bit of this in here.
Did you say you've got a clean airbrush?
No, did I? I'm still filthy from earlier.
I thought I misheard you.
Yes, clearly. Alright, so with this particular camo pattern, it's literally tops of the wings, alright, and then it's not the front of the fuselage, and then it's sort of, there's a swoosh up. So it's just this midsection and then the back. It's quite a strange pattern onto it, which I have got it on my screen. Let me just bring up my screen as well so I can remember. Alright, so to start with, we'll just go off and we'll do the wings. So we're literally just going to put down a nice layer over these wings, and we're not going to mask any point on this. So we're just going to do it like we did the other. So we're working basically the panels as it goes, but it's not going to be as motley and as tarnished like we did the white underneath. This is going to be more akin of getting the paint down onto this, and then we're going to do it post painting as well. Alright, so we're just going to shooting downwards so we get a nice cut edge on the front. So let the natural vortex blow it out the way. And again, we're just going to pop down these two panels here, a couple of panels there, bigger one here in these areas, and then we're just going to come up and we'll just use this natural panel line, which is also going to be the walkway, just to keep things apart. So obviously when we come in a minute, it's all going to be on there, but as you can see, that's one wing nicely done. Same on this back one. And again, we're always just trying to shoot away from the body, away from everything. So obviously the tail and that, we want it to keep it white. And again, we will come back in and we will sharpen up and just take care of some of the overspray that goes on. But at the moment, it's just a case of getting the rough bits on, or basically in this case, just the major, biggest, broad sections in. Alright, so we can just pop down in here as well. Okay, keeping those angles, just so it's away from everything. Alright, looking good. And just on the back here. those go on there for a second. We just hit the old extractor for one little moment. Okay, so I've just got a couple of little bits of gnarly bit on there. A couple of bits of white tack, and this is just going to help stop it coming under here. Because literally all we're going to do is we're just going to put a little bit of white tack just down in here, because we just don't want it going down too far under there, because obviously it's all going to be just on this top part as it comes through. If you wanted to, you could just do the white tack way of doing this. So you could use bigger swash parts, you don't have to roll it into a sausage and all things like that, but you could, if you wanted to, literally, is this dry? Yeah. You could come along, put it in the area where you want it, just like this, and then you could roll it up and just drag it around onto the nose like this. Alright, to give you that sort of the effect that you want. So, you know, top part's going to be dark, in other words, so lighter on the sides, and just do it like that. But from our point of view, we're going to freehand it, just because we're awkward, but that would be probably the easiest way to do it. So because we're going to freehand some of this in now, and this is just level 1, alright, we just turn down our air pressure, because we want to be nice and close, and we can check to see just the pressure we've got and how it's working. So we're just going to spray elsewhere, and we're going to gradually work our way towards where we want it to be. So we're starting off of it, if you like. So we're starting down in these midsections of how this goes, and we've got to go right the way over the top here. We've got to do the framework as well. Alright, and then the way that this actually works, and say I've got mine slightly back to front here, should do it the other way really, but it's literally, I'll just grab my references, I've lost it, what have I done with my reference? Alright, put my reference down. So it literally is just going to come up, and it's just not even a straight line, it's a random line just coming forward where we've got these holes just in the side and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start backwards and we're going to work it forwards. And again, so I'm just trying to nice join between the two. Alright. We want to be spraying into itself, so we don't want to be spraying downwards, because any overspray is going to come over the nice bit. So to start with, what we're going to do is we're just going to come along and we're just going to put a line just in here, just for a minute, and it's literally just there. What we'll do, we'll round this in once we've got it all happy. Again, I'm thinking we're just going to literally
You've got a happy little spray pattern.
yeah, got a good little spray pattern. Alright, so that's literally what we're going for, something along here. I'm looking at it, it looks like it drops down a little bit on the front a little bit more. And then we're just going to work our way in over the top a little bit. And it's gently, gently. We're not trying to flood, we're not trying to cover in one. We're just gently, gently building it up, nice and slowly. Nothing speedy. And again, we've got to go over the top. I'm going to come down these sides. All the framework's got to be painted in. Alright, so on the back here it literally looks like it comes from the tail up here, and then it's just going to work its way sort of in an arch and around to up to here. So it's like a bit of a swoosh, if you like, as it comes down. So to start with, we're going to go above it and then we'll pull it down closer to it. So to start with, I'm thinking it's roughly around about here. And it's on there, but it looks like it covers all of this actually rear deck. So I'm just looking at the best way of doing this. I'm thinking it's going to come down a little bit further. So, refill. Alright, come on the other side. So sort of rinse and repeat here. Same thing. In this section. Again, I'm just going to take it up. Alright, and once we've got it up, we know we've got to come across, so we're just going to take it across. So you see, we sort of break it down in sections. Alright, then finally we'll just pop this in. There we go, a little tiny bit. Just down in here. I think that's roughly how it's looking. As I say, I'm going to bring it just down a little bit on this front. Alright, and then here, it's got this thing where the stars and bars sort of come up in here. It looks like it almost cuts across. Here, I'm just going to swipe it. Alright, so these two just down in here. So there's a reason for doing this, and I'll show you that in a moment, because we can just use a little bit of tape just to sharpen these off. Just whilst this is here, just pop this nose off a second, just so we can sharpen him up in here. Okay. And then we have done just like that for the minute. So what we'll do is, in a moment, we're just going to come along and we're just going to change some of this colour just a little bit on these wings, and we're just going to marble in, do a little bit of work with it, just to give it a little bit more weather in, and that way you can still sharpen up and tidy up with everything with these. Down the back here, we'll cut back in with the white, just to sharpen it up as well. So yeah, happy with
Very
that.
nice.
Very, very nice indeed. And as I say, we'll sharpen it up in a sec. We'll get a little bit of buff into this. But as you can see, talk about timing, because we're out of paint. I've got some other if required, but yeah, no, that worked very well. Cool. Right. Questions? Any questions?
You couldn't have thinking that any better if you've just run out of paint.
Well, it was
Normally got loads over, haven't you?
normally,
too
yeah,
much.
that's it. Always have too much. That's the secret.
Yeah.
So yes. Cool. Right.
Any questions?
Any questions? Anyone got any questions? Shout now, and I'll answer them, and then Matt can get on with his one.
Attempt to anyway.
Hmm.
A little bit too doing.
Hi guys, could you give me any advice on vinyl masks? Ugh.
Yeah, they stretch.
Yeah,
And they don't-
that is the problem. Is the thing of vinyl. The vinyl mask itself, by its nature, stretches, and also they can shrink. I don't know, so I don't want to go down the route here, but a certain manufacturer who does make them has now switched over to using kabui tape, the paper one, because he was finding that after literally being sat on the shelf for a short amount of time, they were shrinking. And obviously they're not as accurate when they shrink.
The other thing is as well, when you're doing it over curves, they tend to peel off.
Yes.
Tape obviously. To be honest with you, the project that I'm doing off camera, I've actually used vinyl masks because that's what they were. And I've got to say, they've actually worked flawlessly at the minute. They're not a massive amount to mask, if I'm honest, but they've worked really well. So, but the other ones, when I've used them before, like I say, I have had trouble with them. I think it tends to be the more smaller scales as well. It struggles with if you've got smaller panes of glass or turrets. You know, if they've got a gun turret, because they're quite complex anyway. It tended not to like that very much. But yeah, so I prefer tape if possible. The only thing you could do is your negatives of your positive mask, if you've got a vinyl set, is use that as a template to make some tape ones.
Yeah.
Lots of cutting, you need a sharp blade, but you could if you really don't like them. But yeah. So.
I think it's one of those ones. It's a little bit of personal choice on it, because I have used the vinyl masks when I used them on the, just trying to think, which I got to think that was top notch, wasn't it? When I used them on, oh Christ, which one was it? It was the Hurricane, 72nd scale Hurricane. Never used them before, first time, and I must admit they performed flawlessly and had no problem with them at all.
Yeah.
But I have heard of other people having complete horror stories, and the trouble with them as well is they don't conform as well. They don't just wrap round. Like tape stretches a little bit where you need it to, and it just gives a little bit more give, and it works a little bit better. I prefer tape masks than I do vinyl masks.
Yes.
I know why vinyl masks, they're a lot cheaper, a hell of a lot cheaper. You know, tape, sticky masks are really expensive.
The other thing as well with vinyl masks, the glue can tend to be left behind, which can be a bit of a, well, just a bit of white spirit will get it off. But it's something you could probably, you never get that with tape, like normal masking tape or kabui tape, whatever. Very rarely that happens. So yeah, I think there's pros and cons to it, isn't it? Whichever. But sometimes if you want a mask set, if that's the only one that you've got, then better than none.
Okay, so they're asking about mixes. Like for the mix I use there, as I said before, I don't like to talk mixes because it's not just saying it's 50-50 mix or it's a 70-80 mix and it's this and this and this. You need to understand how your paint works and everything goes. So when you're painting, I can give you a ballpark figure, like I always say, make sure you can see your bristles and the colour of your bristles when you mix up your paint. So when you mix your thinner to your paint, you should be able to see the colour of your bristles through the actual paint itself. So that gives you an idea of how thin it is. Also, obviously, the working air pressure and your distance and everything else. But the bit where people turn around and say, oh, it's a 60-40 mix at 23.5 psi, it's irrelevant. It's just the most stupidest thing I've ever heard when people talk like that, because you've got all the variables about like your environment, how old your paint is, how thick your paint is.
Your airbrush.
You know, your airbrush, how big your diameter of your nozzle is, but also, what is it now? Because I've got 0.2 nozzles that shoot like a 0.6 these days because they wear out and get bigger. There's so many variables into it. It's easier to understand your paintwork. And I've done full videos on this that you can go off and just watch those, and I explain it in detail. And trust me, you'll have greater or less problems with mixing paint and obviously stopping, starting, spitting, clogging. You'll get none of that as soon as you understand or get a basic understanding of how paint actually works. And then that way you'll be like me, and I don't even know what air pressure I am. I couldn't even tell you what air pressure I am, and I don't really know the mixes either, because I just do it to what it feels right. Then it goes in the airbrush, then you listen to your airbrush and you can hear the sound of it, and you can hear it if it's struggling, you will hear a drop in pressure as you actually try and atomize the paint. Means it's too thick. You need to thin it a little bit more. You know, you need to up your air pressure to the distance you're spraying. You know, if you're really close to your model, you cannot be at high air pressure. You need to be at a lower air pressure, you know, so you can get closer to your model. Air pressure is basically distance. Thinning your paint obviously is part of your distance as well, but then it works your air pressure, and it's all of these things. I often describe it as a bit like driving a manual car and doing a hill start. You're just balancing air pressure to the thickness of your paint and your distance, and it's just with that. And once you get your eye in for it, it's really straightforward. It's really, really easy. But I know for people starting off, they'll get sucked into this thing about, oh, you should be spraying it at this, and you know, off you go and everything's wonderful. But really, it's not as straightforward as that. There's too many different variables which are different to your environment, you know. And let's face it, it could be just be your paint. You know, is it a little bit thicker than somebody else's? You know, a brand new bottle of Tamiya will be quite thin, but over a couple of years it will thicken up because the alcohol will evaporate out of it and it just gets thicker. Those can make big differences to your paint and obviously with your texture and stuff like that. And that's why I spoke about it for a couple of years, did nothing else, was talking about air pressure and distances and listening to your airbrush, because it's quite a big part of this.
It's experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just using the tools you've got, because I mean, between me and Phil, we've got quite a few different brands of airbrushes and airbrushes, and none of them are the same, if that makes sense.
No.
A different brand's airbrush, even though it could be a 0.2, it's still different to somebody else's 0.2. So again, like I say, it's a hard one to answer, but I can see from somebody coming in, you need sort of some basic guideline, don't you? And that's why we say Tamiya paint is probably the easiest and most foolproof to use if you are a beginner at airbrushing.
Yes.
Because it's very, very forgiving, whether it's a bit thicker or thinner, you know, and everything in between, it will work.
Yeah. The big thing is, honestly, the easiest way to do it, because I spent a good chunk of time doing this, is pop over to the tutorials there. It's completely free, doesn't cost you a penny, any of these, right? Pop down in here to, obviously, basic airbrushing, right? And I will talk you through every single step of it. So it's literally from setting up your airbrush and all the rest of it. I've got some of the older stuff down here about the consumables, but basically we've got ones down in here about airflow and troubleshooting. All the ones you have trouble with your airbrush, the bit where it stops, the bit where it starts, the bit where it floods, the bit where it just won't work. You know, all of those, bubbles in your air cup, all the usual ones we get asked a million times are down in here. Then I've got other ones basically on, like, you know, types and mixing your paint, of how different effects, and I show it down in here. I go through and we've got lots of various squiggles and things going on in here, showing about the different effects you'll get when your paint is this and when it's that and stuff like that. So if your paint's too thick, you know, obviously you'll get a little bit more speckling. You need to up your airbrush. You know, you can hear it. It's actually not working efficiently, you know. And then after that, we do the other one, which is basically all about mixing, you know, the mixes, how that affected by air and distance, and the different effects you'll get with it. And also it's good because you will get a better understanding, especially when you look at some of these. You will look at these and go, oh yeah, well I get that, or mine's more like this, you know, and hopefully you'll pick it up and go, I've got it now. I understand why I get this problem and all the rest of it. Then we go right the way through just to the normal painting and all the various bits and pieces like that. But these ones here are great just to understand why it's not working for you. Why can you not get it to work like that? That's what these do. It's not like how you become a professional painter and all this. This is like, why is it going wrong? And then that way, when you know why it's going wrong, you can fix it. But there's so many videos out there that actually teach you all the basics about, oh, this is how you need to be, this is how you need to have it, but it doesn't explain to you why it's going wrong. So that's what those videos do. They'll show you why it's doing this. And, you know, I've done it as basic as I possibly can. You know, this is proper me with drawings at one point, trying to explain it on a bit of paper, you know, the reasons you're getting it. But the great thing is, obviously on this one, I show it as well. And the amount of people have seen it saying, I get that. Now I understand why I get it. So now I don't get it anymore because I understood it. And that's the point to it. It's just finding that little thing, that little light bulb moment. You're like, I get it. And as soon as you do, your airbrushing just improves so much more. You know, you're to that point where you don't look at your air pressure, you don't care what needle nozzle size you're using, because you just adjust it to how you want to spray. You know, so.
I mean, like I say, I don't know what that thing's set to. I use the matte valves anyway. If I've got a matte valve, so I can just up it and drop it whenever, whatever I'm doing. But again, that all comes with experience of knowing your tools and knowing your paint. And you can only get that by doing it yourself. It's like we've said before when we've done these, it's all very well as sitting there and explaining it, but you've still got to do it.
Yes.
So you fail and then understand why you failed, because that's how you're going to learn how and why and all the other bits in between of airbrushing. Once you get it, you get it. It's like I say, to me, it's like driving a car. Once you get in a car when you've never drove before, it's frightening in a way. Because you don't know what you're doing, and it's like anything in life, isn't it? But once you've like got the basics, everything just falls into place. And it's the same with airbrushing, same with modeling, same with weathering, modeling, all of this hobby. Once you've cracked, like to say, the basics of it, then you can progress. And I think we've said this before on many a show, isn't it? I think people want to get from A to Z with nothing in between, and expect they're just going to be like this fantastic, you know, make these fantastic creations, and it's not. You're going to have a lot of failures, a lot of disappointments, a lot of why has it done that, you know. But the joy of now is you've got the internet. We never had that 30 years ago, 40 years ago, whatever. You've got the internet now. There's videos on everything and anything, but you've just got to do it. You've just got to knuckle down and try and fail. Yeah, and you'll get it. You'll get it in the end, you know, or you'll find what works for you. Because again, there's not that silver bullet, is there? Of this works for everybody, because it doesn't work like that at all. You know, you'll find what you like to do, your style of modelling, if it's painting and weathering, or just want it painting and a wash or whatever. You will find your comfortable spot, and then if you want to push yourself later on into extreme this, that, and the other, then you can, can't you? But you need the basics before you can go to that.
Get the basics down, absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
And I said before, the other big thing as well is that don't practice airbrushing on your best model.
No.
Have an old model, something with just this crap, and then literally just play and try different techniques, and you'll be amazed how much more you'll learn doing that than you ever would when you've got your nice expensive model and you're trying to do it. You'll be so terrified. You need to cut your teeth on something else. So literally get a model. Don't spray paper. Don't spray cardboard and all the rest, because that's fault. It's just not realistic. But if you've got an old model, an old buster, and just play with it and play with different things and play with different air pressures, you know, and play with it and sort of, you know, just get an understanding of how it's working, because you'll be carefree with it as well. And trust me, you'll relax a lot more. And again, if you're het up and you're tight and you're like, oh God, it's going to go horrendously wrong, it's not going to work. And also, don't forget, it's like on this one, which I'll show you in a minute anyway, you go back and forth. You know, the great thing about airbrushing is don't look right, just go over it. You know, you get people say, oh, I've got to strip it all back. Why? Just paint over the top. You know, it doesn't need to be stripped back, you know, unless you've made a right dog's ear of it and it's like thick like treacle onto it. You don't have to do that. A light rub down and just go over it. Stick another coat of paint straight over it and go again.
Yeah, just use it.
Fine.
Use it as a primer.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, what's the best colour based light blocker on standard PE model kits if you don't want to put too many layers on?
Photo etch model kits? Well, don't have trouble with light going through those, do you? I don't understand that one. Josh, say again.
Yeah, I'm a bit thingy with that. I mean, all I do is put like an etch primer on it, like a Mr. Metal primer or whatever, and then just put great I mean, the standard thing is grey primer.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, people started using black primers or mahoganies, or there's loads of different colours, but the standard one's grey because grey's neutral.
Yeah.
Which works probably best for aircraft. I think armour's a bit different with grey, to be honest, but yeah. I think his thing is, so, you know, if you've got meshing or whatever on your PE, you don't clog it up.
Yeah.
Again, that's thinness. You know, that's your consistency of paint.
Again, if you're painting photo etch, the thing is you've got to get down a bite coat to it, a gripper coat. You know, that first dusty coat is really important because that's what your paint's going to stick to. So you need a nice little dusty coat right the way over it, and then you can put on a heavier coat. You know, and then you're building it up from that. But the secret with all airbrushing is thin, light coats. Heavy and wet does not work ever. You just flood it.
No. Mark's just got a thing here. Just a quick. I've been using L-clad metallic paints recently. When masking over them, they've been pulling the paint up basically. Is it the tape? Is it the bonding of the paint? Is the AK stuff any better? Question: how long are you giving it before you tape over it?
Yeah.
That is the key question. Is this days after? Is this half an hour after? 10 minutes? Whatever. Because that is a massive factor in why you're pulling your paint off, if I'm honest. Because loads of people have it metallics. I'll be honest with you, Nathan had it last Thursday because he was rushing and he was using AKs, and I have to say, I did say you're going to have to leave that to dry, and he was trying and it was pulling up on him because of the nature of an AK extreme, shall we say, because we don't use L-clads. They need 24 hours minimum before they go hard. You could not go straight over them as soon as you've laid paint down, and I bet you can't with L-clads, because it's a plating system, not a painting system, because of the metallics. So it's going to need time to, as we say, flash off, harden off, and properly cure.
Once it's down, it's hard as nails. Like we've said about it many times. The B17, I show it because everyone told me you can't mask over it. So I did all the walkways and painted them all in, and I masked them all up with masking tape, Tamiya tape, and then painted them all black and did it like that. And I unmasked it all just to show, because the amount of people say you can't mask it. Well, you can, but as Matt quite rightly puts out, got to be completely dry. If there's any type of moisture left into that, it'll just peel straight off. And it's very soft as well. You can wear through it really, really quickly. But when it's completely gone off, it's hard as nails. You know, it's still thin. It still will wear through, but it's not just going to rub through.
Yeah. What's Stephen's Port? Hi team, thinking of buying the Italy 1/9 motorbike with sidecar, World War II. Any advice on the kit? It's old. It's an old Esky kit, so be aware. You'd probably be a bit flashy, and it's a bit basic. But I think overall, the the basics are there to make a decent kit out of it. I think you just might have to put a bit of work in to do it. You see, Vince he's been having problems with the AK Extreme Metals, not the L-clads. Again, it's drying time. It really is drying time with them, and also as well. Just not giving them a shake, you need to stir them as well, because it all settles at the bottom. The pigments and the binders and everything separate with them, so a quick sort of one of them ain't going to properly mix that up, and again you'll have problems. It needs a proper thorough, get your Tamiya stirring stick or your Costa coffee stirrers, whatever it is, get in there and make sure it's thoroughly mixed up. So
yes.
Are we brush painters? Sorry, go on.
No, we're not brush painters. Well, you are. I'm not.
Yeah, but I won't brush paint a model, if I'm honest. I brush paint figures and bits and bobs, but one for brush painting models. I've got an airbrush. Thin coats, apparently. Thin coats in layers and build it up gradually and try and eliminate brush marks, but I'm not that skilled or patient.
It is, but just going back to, there's a couple more bits and pieces in there about using L-clads and all the metallizers, is that you have to understand, like I said, Matt said, it's plating, not painting. So you've got to put that base coat down onto it, and I like to use Tamiya X1, but pretty much anybody's gloss black. The reason for using black, so it's nothing to do with black basing, it's nothing to do with reflectivity of the paint and all that rubbish, it's because you can see how nice it is before you put the paint onto it. so you can see if there's any imperfections, if you've got any marks, if there's any texture. It's got to be totally smooth for that metal finish. And then once you actually get the metal work onto it, because it's black, you can see exactly where you're going. Yeah, if it's grey, you've got that, you know, you need to angle it a little bit and see. The great thing about using black, you can see exactly how it's going down, exactly where you've been. If you need to put a bit more down, you can see it easily. That's why I use black with it. But it's an easier way to do it. But the thing is, it's all about preparation. Putting the actual metal bit on is the easy bit. It's the stuff leading up to that. Once you've got that down, it's fine. Then you can get those other layers on. And say the B17 is probably one of the biggest projects we've done, being all metal. And again, different shades, different colours with masking it. And I think hopefully I disproved a lot of myths out there where people say, oh, you can't mask it, you can't do this with it, you can't do that with it, it's rubbish. It's like, you just need to understand the product, you know, and understand it needs to dry totally off.
Yes. Question: Do either of you use a metal prep to, you know, like a Mr. Metal colour for photo etch? Sometimes depends what.
Yeah, it depends what it is. Yeah.
If I'm using a acrylic primer, 100%. If I'm using a lacquer primer, not so much, because lacquer primers just, eat into everything. They're pretty good. They've got a bit of a self-etching key to them. Mm-hmm. Obviously, acrylic primers ain't got that bite to do that. So, but it's not a bad practice to do it, because there's nothing worse than, you know, seeing bits of brass.
Yeah.
Is there when your paint's flaked off? If you put all that work in. So, yep.
Just jump forward, just because it's right in front of me. Alistair says, question, what about for a colour to use on the RAF Sunderland scheme? To be honest, it's the one that I'm doing now. The Sunderland was in white and gold grey, if I remember rightly, isn't it? Because it's the North Atlantic scheme.
Yep.
So, yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably what they were in anyway. Or it may be a ocean grey or something, perhaps they're a little bit darker. But it depends, because obviously they did the one with the camo on the top as well, and they did the other ones with just the grey. So, but as for the white, any white and just off it, just put a little bit of buff in your white.
I was about to say, if you want to knock it off, a bit of buff in it, yeah. Right, I think with Yost and his question, I think I've deciphered it. I think what he wants to do is like black base it, you know, to just get shadows. I think that's where it's going. So what he's put is like a black spray can primer. Or a dark, I use that, or the mahogany one, dark brown one, depending on the colour, and that'll work for you. That'll definitely, block the light out, if you want to call it that. What primer would you use for a very old, shiny, almost gloss plastic model? Or can I use any? Primer's primer.
Any primer. If you've got a really, really shiny plastic, it might be worth just giving it a light sand. Key it, get a little bit of texture in there so it's gripped, because let's face it, Hasegawa plastic in its day was the one for it. It's incredibly shiny, very slippery, so I always used to run an old sanding sponge over it.
Or Tamiya do these sanding sponges. These are, you know, you can get sanding sponges, lots of companies do them, and they're great because they're flexible for a start, and you can get all different grits, and give it a key up. To be honest with you, it's not a bad practice to do that with your models anyway, if you're priming. So while you're doing that, I'm going to just get a bit of thing on this, I think, because it's...
Are you going to airbrush it on, or are you going to...
No, I'm just going to brush it on and then...
You're going to brush it on?
Yeah, I'm just going to do it in layers. So what I'm going to do is just to tie in with the rest of it is I've got... This is the prototype I got given. I ain't even got a proper label look. But the dust wash and the thick grime. So these are the thick ones, not the normal flory washers. I've just now got it all over my hands, and before I've decanted it into my little tray, as you can see.
Very nice.
Smidge, there we go. So I'm just going to make a light dust colour. So what Phil was doing is I've just whacked a bit on there. It looks very light at the minute, but this is just a base layer, and we'll just build it up. Now, if I was doing this properly, obviously this is a Land Rover and it won't have a chassis; it'd be rotted away. But I'm not being authentic. This is quite new, and I've not obviously painted the exhaust.
It's been hammer-righted.
It's definitely been hammer-righted. It's been something, Lots of underseal, holding it all together.
Covered in duck oil.
Duck oil, yeah. So what I'm going to do is just take a bit of the dust tone and a smidge of the grime, so you make a nice light dusty colour. Just put the camera in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So you can just mix and match a bit of water, which I know you can't see because I've just moved my camera, and all I'm just basically going to do is just, like you've seen me before, move paint around, dob it about, get it on, because this stuff is reversible, so you can just slap it on and then manipulate it to your heart's content. And like Phil said, you could whack it through an airbrush, spray it on, which you've seen him done with a whitewash one. There's, like I said, there's nothing fancy about this at all. You are literally just brushing it on. Just keep mixing it up to the tones you want. Get it all in the nooks and crannies. So anybody for the purist weathering, you know, with all their fancy techniques, this is probably like turning them, you know, inside out.
Yes. Phil, did you get my message about the Blade Runner spinner? Don't, because he said I commented on Facebook, don't send me messages via Facebook. The best way to get hold of me is honestly use the contact me on the website or just send it to sales@florymodels.co.uk, because Facebook I don't go on. I've got the business account for it. I am on it, but that's only because we've got the business account that's attached to it, so I have to have it. But I don't use it per se, so don't message me via Facebook Messenger and stuff like that.
No. So a bit of the speckling technique as well. Have your stirring stick. Always good. Get random splatters and bits of dirt flicking up under your chassis. You can make a right mess. Great, innit? Proper mess it. So I wasn't going to weather this until somebody asked me, because you don't really see it anyway. But if you get asked, then you will do. So I'll just show you my piece of cloth. So that's the one I've just done. So I've made that sort of shade up, which again, grime and dust. I say make lovely shades of dirt, and then obviously you've got your thick wash for the darker one as well. So you've got all three, like you know, you've seen me use it all before. So let that dry off, and then we can manipulate it about. It's as simple as that. Just let it dry off fully. When it's all gone matte and flat, and then you can take whatever brush you want, one of these, dampen it, and then just reactivate it and just take off what you don't want on, or move it around, or blend it, do whatever. Dead simple.
Very nice.
So yes,
very nice.
And then we'll just build the layers up with darker and, you know, darker layers later on.
Yes.
Ooh.
Right. Okay. So I was just going to that one. Come in, and I am incredibly low on paint to do our next job with. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab.
Are you going to thin it?
I am going to thin it a tiny bit. Hold on, I just need to find a different type of paint from another manufacturer. Hold on, that's the one we want. So we're going to have to borrow a little bit of Hataka for the next stage, purely because I'm out of the other one. So not a problem. So this, by chance, will definitely, I can assure you, because no two paint manufacturers make the same colour. Alright, so what we're going to do is, we're going to take some of this, we're going to add a few drops just down into here, to what's already in it. Then we're going to add a little bit of thinners to this. Then we're going to mix both of these together. And we're going to see what we get to start with, and then after this we can then work out which way we need to go. So is this made it lighter. So hopefully you can see. Hold on, if I go full screen a minute, dude.
Yeah. Just while you're doing that, let me just answer Yost again. Thank you for the kind comment on the Land Rover. And am I running out of shelf space anytime soon? We've run out of that a long time ago. They just go in plastic boxes and end up at the at PM Towers, basically. but they do need a cull. So some might
Yes.
be going to the
So, what you probably saw then how thin that was. It literally is incredibly thin. You know, you can see all the bristles through it. So all we're going to do now is we're just going to go around some of the panels. But to start with, I need to know what different colour this is. So I'm just going to spray one of these on here. Actually, it's not that bad. I thought it was going to be a different colour. It's not.
Is it a perfect match?
It's almost a perfect match.
Is this
which
Attacker,
I'm really,
is it?
Yeah, it's Attacker. So Attacker and real colours are on the same page. Alright.
Okay.
So this is Attacker one, which we're using down in here, which is C044, which, to be honest, as we've just shown, is exactly the same as the real colour one, which I didn't think that would be like that for a minute. I could have sworn it would have been different. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of deck tan, and we're just going to lighten up some of these panels and some of these other little bits on this. So we've just got a very old one, which I've probably had this for years. We're just going to take a little bit of a brush full. Alright, and we're just going to stick this in here. So it's not massive. So we're still going to check. It's still quite thin, so I'm happy. I'm just going to have a little bit more.
Can I just jump in a minute? Do you mind?
Yeah, go.
Just for guys who are getting into airbrushing and stuff, and obviously the like what Phil's doing is just lightening up a few panels and that. Just like we say, avoid white and avoid black. Deck tan, Tamiya deck tan is one of the perfect colours for lightening nearly every colour.
Yeah.
Without bleaching it, because if you put white in it, it will just, you know, if you put white in what Phil's spraying at, it will just bleach it out.
It'll lose the colour, isn't it?
Yeah, it will lose richness and it'll just be really desaturated. If you use a deck tan, buff's another good colour as well in to have in your paint collection. It just works for lightening, and you'll see a nice difference when you build your contrast up. So.
Okay, so a couple of cupful, brushful, just blowing it through so we get the new colour come through. Alright. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to pop out around some of the centres. And again, it's one of these things, you need to sort of angle it so you can see it. So we're just going to pop around, and we're just, well, you might be able to see, you probably see it in the shining as it dries back, but we're just going to take out just a little bit. And we're just literally shifting some of these off a little bit. So we're just doing sort of centres of panels. Because what we're doing at this point, we're just slightly lightening it, because what we'll do is we'll come over, we're going to darken it. So we're going to come through and do various things to darken this right up. So this will be the last time we go light. So because we need it to be a little bit lighter, purely so everything afterwards doesn't look too dark. So you're almost over lightening a little bit. And we're keeping quite random in these areas. And obviously you're faking it because you'll see tops of the nose, tops down the back here. Because the light's going to be hitting it, it would sort of reflect it a little bit more than anywhere else. But you probably hear there's hardly any air pressure to this because we're nice and close, and because we're getting nice and close, it's nice and tight, so you can literally just go exactly where you want. we go. Just literally just marbling it out now, just sort of changing it all, just giving natural highlights and lowlights and all the other bits to this one right the way over. Alright, so you can go right the way through it, just like that. Then what we can do is, I'm going to keep this colour, I'm going to cut this somewhere. We'll just keep that one back because it's quite a handy colour. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take a medium grey. We're going to add a couple of drops of this, just add it into here. Any grey would do with this. So we're just mixing it into what's already in here. A couple of drops of lacquer thinners. So it's like dirty thinners for want of a better thing. Alright, so again you can really see the bristles. So because your paint's nice and thin, what this will mean means it doesn't cover very well. Which means you haven't got the risk of suddenly painting your paint model grey, because it won't do that. But because it's thin, you can get nice and close and you can do various things to it. So down in here, this is going to be slightly darker. We can just pop in and we're just going to follow around the actual panel lines. But we're going to keep it quite rough. Some of the tops of the hatches and the things, and that way we're just going to start to work it through. So technically we're just post shading in. Again, you're just keeping it smooth, and some of these lines, we've got the wing fold here, so we're just going to go a little bit more on there. Again, a little bit over these armament areas. And if you want to, you can just do little squiggles and marks in panels. And we're just trying to keep all the colours roughly on the same ballpark, but hopefully you can sort of see now how it's starting to change. I just do a couple of little squiggles and things in here. Because what we're trying to do is, or trying to achieve, is a sort of marbling, motley type thing. So it's just lots of little layers. You can see how it's wet and how it's sort of showing in here and on here. And obviously the Hataka is a lot more glossy than the real colour. But we're just sort of walking it in and just changing it. So over here hasn't got it yet. Not yet, but it's on here. So you're just very, very lightly moving it step by step by step. And the more steps you put into it, the more difference of colours you get, the various things that are going on, the more it will change. Alright, and that's literally what you're going to do. You can just work your way across. And at the time, if you had trouble with your camo patterns and your things like this, you could adjust them and manoeuvre them and change them as well by just changing the colour and all the way through. You might want to get creative. You could just pick out a panel and say it's had a replacement panel, it's a different colour, it's come off a different aircraft, or you know, it may be just a new one that's gone on and they've just chucked a coat of paint over it. You can come up with these little things to tell yourself, you know, and just to show your way through. And if I just whip round on the other side, and just pop down the tail here. And again, just this thing about always layers. We're starting off with a layer, then we'll work our way through another layer and another layer. And at the moment this is just paint and it's quite blunt. And then you can sharpen it up by using, obviously being creative with various oils, washes, hand painting, pencils, you know, all of these different things to give different effects. So we're just going to come through with on this side and then we'll swap over. So that's pretty nice. And then what we're going to do is just going to add a little bit more grey, so we're doing a slightly darker colour. Obviously we need to thin it, otherwise it's going to come out too thick.
Terry's just put a good question. Why are you doing that? Is it me, or does a model seem to come to life once the decal's replaced? It does with aircraft. I totally agree.
Aircraft definitely. Yeah.
You know, the armour's a bit different because you know they don't have many anyway. But aircraft, 100%, yes. Yeah. Especially all them stencils.
Yes. And again, also it gives them a bit of colour normally, because they tend to be quite boring.
Yeah.
So you can actually get a bit of colour onto them. But also when you're painting your model, angle it so you can see the reflectivity, so you can see the actual paint going down onto it, so you can see exactly where you're going with it. And you can see how much, if it looks really wet, you need to move. You don't want to be flooding it, not when you're doing very low air pressure work like this. And again, you can filter over it as well, because this is really thin. So if you wanted to, you can literally just come along and just put like a filter almost right the way over it. So if you think, well, it's looking a bit not the colour I was wanting, you can just shift it just 1 or 2 degrees.
Again, I think that's where people fall into the trap of like, oh, I don't like it, I've got to strip it and repaint it.
Yeah.
Just use it as a base layer and then go over it. So you're working in such thin microns of paint, you're not going to obliterate the detail. So just use it, use it to your advantage. Happy little accidents and all
Definitely.
that. Isn't it?
Oh god, yeah.
I mean, I've done it, obviously, I showed you earlier with the 222, I just weren't happy with what, the base coat I'd got, so I've just gone over it. Just, you're just using that as a bit of a shadow layer if you want, or a base layer.
Yeah.
Don't fall into this trap. You've got to think you've got to strip all your models once
Yes. I think that is the thing where you hear all these things, but I always literally, if it's not looking right, like now I'm going to make this just a little bit grey, then look, it's just that thing where you just go, I'm just going to gently manipulate it, change the colour just a little bit.
Yeah. A bit of basic colour theory will get you a long way.
Yeah.
Get a colour wheel, see what goes with what and what can be mixed. I mean, basically, if you've got green, we'll take green. A lot of things are green, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you've got 2 colours that go into green. So there's your lightening and darkening, basically, with the base colours. Yeah. You don't need your blacks, your whites. You've got your, your yellow and your blue. Mm-hmm. Even if you're going for greys, all right, you could. But again, you can tweak that bit of deck tan, which is a grey colour anyway.
Yeah.
Which will then keep the warmth because it's in the warmer tones rather than the colder. And again, that's a nice thing to learn is warmer tones and colder tones, and that's why the colour wheel's good, because it will show you like your blues and that side of the colder, and then obviously your oranges and reds is the warmer, and yellows. But once you get it, it helps with your painting, because you'll get then what goes with what and what can be mixed and what can't be, and there is a bit of a sense of science in it, I suppose.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, I suppose there is. Yeah. It's to me, it's a piece of art, so it's visual balance to make it work.
Yeah.
That's how I approach it, not I can't think of the words I'm trying to say, but I try and treat it as more akin to like painting a landscape, say, or whatever, or I wouldn't say portrait so much, but that kind of theory of it, rather than the actual machine in real life.
Also, the thing is, I'm a great believer in enjoying it. So, if your paint's thin like I'm doing, you can just change and manoeuvre slightly and make it all, sort of just work how you want to. And you're just gently building it up all the time. It's that thing. So if one particular area is not right, it's not a problem. Just go on with the next one. fix it with the next coat, just adjust it slightly.
Yeah.
You know, because that's literally all I'm trying to do with this one. Is just, as you can see now, obviously this camera shows it a bit better. We're just trying to sort of add some shadows in and the various bits and pieces just to change it around. And this is just all preparation for the heavy dark colours, because obviously this will all have a wash. So the panel ones go a lot darker. So to soften that impact by just putting the shadows in here already, just makes it a little bit easier. Normally I do this with post, which I will do underneath. I'll show you post, and I'll do it post away on here. So that's oils, and then we'll rub them in and we'll do things and we'll distress and we can lighten it all. But this is literally just one layer of many, many, many that we'll use on this particular one. You know, it's just a, you know, the one thing. We've done a lot of post shading in this one, putting it down afterwards, just building it up very lightly, thin layers, 3 colours onto this now, or 4 in theory. So it's just one of those ones where you're just generally building it up. And I wasn't happy with the second colour, so that's why we changed it out. We were right, change that. We're going to go for something a little bit more stark to it. But yeah, it's taking your time and just the balance effect from it all, you know, just going right the way through. So.
I think, to be honest, more for aircraft for me, but post shading is a lot more efficient for me than pre shading. Yes. I've never got on with pre shading at all. I don't. It's not that I don't get it. I do get it, but you can very easily lose it. But I think when you post shade, you get your base colour down, and that's like your mid tone.
Yes. And
then you can go darker, lighter in between that with your post shading. You know. I mean, you can emphasise fake rivet lines if you want with an airbrush, can't you?
Oh, yeah.
Without actually riveting the model, you know, especially in smaller scales. There's a lot of effects you can do that's really beneficial. Terry's just asked a question. Does anybody know of a 1/72 Bell 222 helicopter? I don't, to be honest. I don't know if anybody does.
Airwolf? That's Airwolf.
Yeah, the only probably thingy that would do one, but I don't know if they ever did, would be a Telera, because it was an Augusta Bell, weren't it?
Yeah.
If it's might have done one, I don't know, to be perfectly honest.
Somebody did do a 222 back in the day. I don't know who it was, but I built it because there was no Airwolf kit, and it's the closest thing to Airwolf.
Oh, there you go. Revel.
So I can't honestly, I was a teenager when I built it, but it was the closest thing I could find to actually being an Airwolf. So it was like, yep, that's it. We're going with one of them, you know. So.
Yes.
But yeah, so last bit up, and then I'll do it afterwards. All we'll do here is I will just mask off a nice crispy edge between this and the tail, and then we'll spray white just in here. Come back in with the white just to get rid of the overspray. And then obviously we've got this tiny little bit down in here, which looks like a light. It's not, that's overspray down in there. So what we'll do is we literally just masking tape on the arm trick, take it all off, and we just put a couple down in here just to protect this area. And then all I'll do afterwards, I'm just going to paint a little bit of white down in there, a little bit of white here just to protect those off. We'll do the same on the other side because I've got it on here. We just need to protect them as well. Front I'm going to leave. Front we're happy with, and all the rest of it. And there we go. She's looking very much the part now. So happy of how that's going.
Looking good. I do like that Atlantic scheme, I've got to say.
Yeah, it is. It's a cool scheme, I must admit. And what I'm going to do with this one is stuff that I don't normally do, to be honest. But as I said before, I'm going to go right into it with a little bit of detailed, you know, sort of scratches. You know, because it's obviously the scratch through the primer. It's a naval aircraft. You're not going to get bare metal. No. But, you know, technically they do have a lot of scratches and various things coming through with it. And up on the front of the Helldiver, I know looking at references, a lot of them are gouged up. Because I assume there's a lot of mechanical stuff, because obviously it's got the starter on it. Yeah. So, you know, so a lot of that would have been gouged up as well. So I'm going to have a go at doing it with pencils and things, because I've seen some people do it with pencils, or, you know, obviously tiny, tiny one hair brushes is a little bit of a nightmare. So I thought we'll give it a whirl with pencil and see how that comes up with it. But yeah, no, he's all right, coming along. Very nice.
I that project I'm doing, you know, because of the wing roots, the chip, I'm going to try that with pencils, because I've never had much joy of getting that to look any good. You know, with the paint, with the way they walk in and get in the cockpit. So yes, I'm thinking of trying some pencils for that. To be honest, be interesting.
I think it'll be all right. As I say, be an interesting little project to have a go at it, really.
Yeah.
But normally you wouldn't mask this up now. Normally you would let it dry for a couple of hours at least before masking it. Purely because you don't want to be lifting paint. But obviously I've detacked it. It's only a localised area just there. But in a minute I'll just clean out the airbrush and I'll just touch that in with white. So next time we're ready to go, we can just push through with it as well. But underside, as you can see, we've got no dirt on there. We'll do all of that post, so that'd be quite interesting. So we can show the contrast between the top side and the bottom side way of doing it. So
yeah. So just a heads up, because obviously we are doing a PM show tomorrow. Because we've actually got something to talk about after last week's. It was a bit quiet, but for anybody who wants to, there's a few new specials up in the PM store.
Do you want to have a quick peruse
before everybody leaves? And those two. Everybody needs a moonraker.
Absolutely. Nice.
And then if you're into your box sets of paints, there's some of them, and then obviously, like I say, there's some trumpeter up there and a bit of Meng. So a lot of the stuff now has gone back into normal service. So we've got a few bits up if anybody's interested.
Very nice, and a very nice 30-second scale Trop 109.
Yeah, like Marseille in it. I think that's a Marseille one. Did he have an F? I think an F4.
Yeah.
2. Nice Phantom. Drop your stick. So yeah. Anyways, just a few this week. Anybody's interested, there you go.
Very nice. And obviously, just for everyone who would be we might as well show ours because we've got them here. There will be the review coming up of this little bad boy.
Hold on.
Here it is. The long-awaited Mini Art P47. So yes, this is the basic kit. It says it everywhere. It says basic kit, basic kit, basic kit. Just in case you forget. And to be honest, we have opened the box because we looked at it before we came online. It's like, if this is the basic kit, can't wait to see the freaking full-on one. Because this is stuffed full anyway. The advanced one, this is stuffed, this kit. There's tons in here as it is, let alone the advanced one. So, yes. Be really good. So, yes. So I will get the review of this one done tomorrow, so it'll coincide with obviously the PM show. We record it, so we'll get that recorded in the morning, then I'll do the review for that, and then it'll both be up with you tomorrow on there as well. We will be back with you on Thursday night, which will be our pre-Telford show.
It will. Yeah, last of the week.
It will. So yeah, that's the last one. No show on Friday for me as well. No. Because I'm not here. Obviously, I'm travelling up to our secret rendezvous location.
Yes.
The little chef just off of the M6.
That last little chef.
But yes. So obviously we're travelling up because obviously we're staying up around Telford area for the Telford show on Saturday. Remember, if you are going to the show, please come and see us. We're going to be planning on doing a Flory family meet, but obviously everyone's welcome, as you know. So if you want to pop into Hall 3, which is the small hall with a cafe in it and all the rest of it, probably around about 2 o'clock.
Yes, so. A small charge will be applied.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Where we can buy some merchandise because I'll be having, you know me, I'm in the trench coat.
Yeah, the big trench coats will be there.
Yeah,
no, seriously, no, just come and say hello if you see us.
Yes, love to see you as well.
So it'd be nice just to mill around and have a mooch and a chat and a catch up. So yes, be good.
Definitely. Very good. Right, okay then guys, we will leave it right there. Thank you very much for joining this afternoon. Don't forget, if you do fancy any bits over at the PM store, you can do that. Obviously, if you want to pop over to the Flory Model site as well, you can do. And if you'd like to become a member, just £4 plus VAT a month. Cheaper than a Costa coffee.
Just about.
I think it is, isn't it? For a grande one, isn't it? Something more than that. So yes, you can join us and all the rest of it and get to see over, 174 video builds, 4,000 videos if you wanted to go back 20 years. So
yeah, join the forum.
When we were young. Join the forum, join the membership, and all the rest of it. Obviously, big thank you to the Flory family. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So massive thank you to you guys as well. Nice to see so many of you in the chat room as well. So until later, everybody, happy modelling. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.